We're going to start from the last line on Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis on the bottom. We're holding by the last line of the page. Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis. Tana Rabbana, we learned in the Braisa. Ein mechabdin. You don't give honor to a person that's more prominent than you, a Talmid Chacham, loy bedrachim, not when you're going on the way and you have to make space for someone else to go ahead of you, and who goes first, who goes second, not in the middle of the way, v'loy b'gisharim, and not when you're crossing a bridge. And the reason is because in the middle of the way, if you're going to start giving honor, who goes first, who goes second, so then the traffic is going to be backed up. And when you're crossing through a bridge, and it's not safe to go, especially then, to go through a bridge, so you want to get off the bridge as soon as possible and not make covet for someone else to go ahead of you. Okay, so Taisus points out over here that this means if you're in the middle of the way, if you're on the bridge. But when a person begins, when he heads out on the way, when he goes out on the way, so you give honor for someone else to head out before you. But we're talking about over here in the middle of the way. And also not regarding washing mayim achreinim, when the hands are dirty after eating. So over here also, there's no need to be mechabed someone else earlier that's, your hands are dirty, you should wash first. There's no need of kibbud regarding mayim achreinim. We learned it before already yesterday. Besides, when it comes to the last 5 people, so you're supposed to wash, the person that's washing mayim achreinim should wash the first before the last 5 people, last 4 people after him, as we said before, in order for a person to prepare benching. Ravin v'Abaya. So an incident happened with Ravin and Abaya. Havaka'azli b'orche, they were traveling on the way. Kadmei chamrei de Ravin l'Abaya. Ravin's donkey went ahead of Abaya's donkey. V'loyam alei nezel mar. And Ravin did not pull back and stop to allow Abaya to go ahead of him. Omar, so Abaya said, Abaya was older than Ravin and was more prominent than Ravin. And he said, from when this person, this Ravin, went to Eretz Yisrael and he comes back to Bavel, so Rashi here says, Ravin used to go to Eretz Yisrael, learn Torah from Rabbi Yochanan, and he would come back to Bavel to give over the Divrei Torah that he heard from Rabbi Yochanan. So Abaya says, from when Ravin went to Eretz Yisrael to learn Torah from Rabbi Yochanan, Gasle Daite. He became a Balgaiva. His donkey goes ahead of mine, and he goes weiter. He doesn't give me the honor to go ahead of him. When they came to the door of the shul, so Ravin said to Abaya, Neil Mar. Abaya, master, go in first. So he did give him the honor. Amalei, so Abaya said to him, Vad hashto lav marano. And until now on the way, I'm not your master. Why all of a sudden now you're giving me this honor? Amalei, Hochi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, this is what Rabbi Yochanan said. Ein mechabdin ela bepesach sheyesh ba mezuzah. So he had a statement that he heard from Rabbi Yochanan in Eretz Yisrael. So he said, this is what Rabbi Yochanan said, you don't give honor only when you're entering into a doorway which has a mezuzah. So that's the place you give honor. On the roads, on the bridges, you don't give honor there. So the Gemara asks the question, who was going to go in first, and then they went in together. And Frag the Gemara, the is bei mezuzah in, the less bei mezuzah loy. If it's a doorway that has a mezuzah, so over there you give honor. A doorway that does not have a mezuzah, you don't give honor. Elamayata, Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash, the less bu mezuzah, Beis HaKnesses and Beis HaMedrash, which is not a dwelling of a person, a private person to live there, and it's not chayiv and mezuzah. So over there, hachanami dein mechabden, entering a doorway that has no mezuzah on the door, so that you don't give any covet. What difference does it make mezuzah? Mezuzah is a separate mitzvah. You're entering into a door, there's an need to give covet to someone that's older than you or more prominent to you to enter first. Ela eime, the way you have to understand the statement of Rabbi Yochanan is bepesach haroy lemezuzah. Any doorway which is theoretically roy for a mezuzah, if you're entering into a doorway, over there you give covet for someone else to enter first. But on the ways, on the roads, and then the bridges over there, there's no covet. The people sitting around the table should not eat from the bread until the person that's leading the meal and made the bracha and being mitzi everybody else, he cuts the bread, he eats first. After he tastes from the bread, then the others around the table could eat from the bread as well. We're talking over here about a case where everyone is eating from his bread, and not everyone has their own challah or their own rolls. They're eating from his bread. And the case over here is, he's cutting the bread from one side, and other people are going to come and take from the other side of the challah, and eat on their own. It can't be talking about a case where he cut a few pieces for the other people as well, because you're not supposed to cut pieces for the other people. So he only cut one piece for himself. So someone else would come and grab a piece from the other side of the challah for himself and taste before the Baitzeya himself is going to taste. So you're not allowed to. This is the way the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch explains this Gemara. Yosef Rav Safra v'ka'omar. Rav Safra sat and he repeated the same halacha as well, but he said it differently. He said, lit'oin. Nobody is allowed to taste before the balabayis, before the person that's Baitzeya tastes. He didn't say lech, or he said tastes. Lit'oin itmar. So the Gemara asks, Lamai nafkin mina, what difference is there if you use the expression of lechel, to eat or to taste? Is there any difference? So the answer is there is no difference. Shachayev adam loyma b'loshen rabbi. A person is obligated to repeat things in the wording in the same way that he heard it from his teacher. Rav Safra heard from Rav litlein, so he wanted to repeat it in the exact words that he heard it from his teacher. Tana Rabbanon, we learned in a Braise another detail about the etiquette when we get to eating, how people should conduct themselves by eating. Shnayim mamtinim zelazeh b'kaira. If there are two people that are eating out of the same platter, and one person interrupts his eating, he has to take a drink or he has to make a short interruption of his eating, the other person should wait for him as well. Mamtinim zelazeh b'kaira. They wait for each other. Okay. If one person interrupts though from the eating, or he stops eating, or he walks away from the Suda altogether, or he makes a long break, so then the other one doesn't have to wait for him. We're talking about if one person makes an interruption, so it's certain derech eretz that the other person should also make an interruption.
Do you use the same plate or something?
Same platter. Shloisha eimamtinim. Shloisha eimamtinim. But three do not have to wait for each other. Then it's already, if it's already three people, so then they can eat without waiting for each other. Going back to the din of habeitzeya, the person that cut the challah, the person that made a maitzi for everybody, so habeitzeya, hu paishit yadai tchila. He's the one that's given the opportunity to take the food from the platter first, that's served at the table. Vim ba lachlei kavod l'rabbi, if he wants to give honor to his teacher or someone else that's greater than him, he can give the honor to someone else to take the food from the platter served at the table at the meal first.
The guy who made a moitzi for some other food platter?
He made a moitzi, and then besides the moitzi, there's a food platter brought out, whatever, the fish, the salads, whatever it is. The person that makes a moitzi should be served the fish and the food and that brought on the table first. Rabbi Babachana have a osek le'lebrei. Rabbi Babachana was marrying off his son. We saw this expression in the Gemara more than once. Osek le'lebrei means marrying off his son. Bei Rav Shmuel bar Rav Ktina. To Rav Shmuel bar Rav Ktina. Kodem v'Yosef. So Rabbi Babachana sat down at the table with his son, the Chosin, like early on. V'kamastni le'lebrei. And he was teaching his son. Because he knew that what happens by the Chosin. The Chosin cuts the bread. The Chosin cuts the big challah. So he was teaching him how to do it. And he was teaching him, and he told him, "Ein habeitzeya rashoy luftzaya, do not cut the bread at sheyichla amein mipia einim, until the people that hear your bracha hamaitzi lechem and haaretz answer amein, and when they finish answering amein, then you start cutting. Don't start cutting immediately when you finish the bracha." Rav Chisda said, you don't have to wait until everybody finishes answering mipiroi v'einim, until most of the people that are present answer amein. And this is how it's brought in Shulchan Aruch as well. Reiv. Amalei Rami Bachame said, what's the difference? Maishna ruba da kati lekalya bracha. What's the reason you have to wait for the amein? The amein is the conclusion of the bracha. The bracha doesn't conclude when you finish the bracha and now the amein is a separate thing. The amein is confirming the bracha, and that itself is the conclusion of the bracha. So if you have Raiv people that did not answer Amen yet, so the bracha did not conclude yet, miyutanami, even if there's anybody that's still answering Amen, lekalya bracha. The bracha didn't conclude yet. There's somebody that's continuing the bracha. So why shouldn't you have to wait even for a minority of people that are still answering Amen? Amalei, he answered him, Shani Aimer, because I say, Kala Aina Amen Yaisamidai Ein Alataya. Someone that answers Amen and he drags out the Amen, if it's dragged out, then that's not the way you're supposed to answer Amen. You're supposed to answer Amen and say the word properly. We'll see in a moment exactly how you're supposed to say Amen, but you're not supposed to drag out the word. So therefore you don't have to wait for those people that dragged out the Amen. So since we mentioned this, the union of Amen, the Gemara now will explain what's the proper way of answering Amen. This is very important because answering Amen is an unbelievable thing, as the Gemara will here explain. And many people make mistakes with this, and you have to know how to answer amein properly. Tana Rabbanon, we learned in Abraisa. Ein einen loy amein chatufa. When you answer amein, do not answer the amein as a grab, like you grab it, quickly. What's the pshat chatufa? There are two pshatim. Rashi says chatufa means that you miss the comments of the aleph. You don't say amein. You say amein, like almost like the aleph being like with a shva, without the proper comments under the aleph. That's amein chatufa according to Rashi. Another pshat, which Alter Rebbe brings in Shulchan Aruch, I believe it's from the Aruch. He says that amein chatufa means that you answer amein before the person finished saying the bracha. You chap the amein before the bracha is done. Listen to till the conclusion of the bracha. You want to confirm the entire bracha, right? And this happens very often on Yom Tovim when the nusach of the chazan is Hamavarach Azam Yisrael Ba'Shalom, and everyone's answering amein when he says Ba'Shah, and everyone's answering amein already, right? So you have to be careful. You have to be careful to answer amein when the bracha is done. That's the first thing. V'loy amein ktufa. And also not an amein that's cut off. What is cut off? You don't say the nun properly. You say amein, you answer so quickly that the nun sound is not heard. V'loi amein yisaima. And also not an amein which is yisaima, which means that a person does not hear the bracha itself, and therefore he can't answer amein if he didn't hear the bracha itself. Okay, so there's a big machlokes about this amein yisaima. Rashi over here brings the famous Gemara in Sukkah that says that in Mitzrayim, Alexandria and Mitzrayim, there was a huge bismedrish where the people could not hear the bracha of the shliach tzibur, and how would they answer amein? There was a flag that they would wave when the bracha was being said, and that's how they answered amein.
Even some Sunday Yom Tov, if
you're all the way in the back, you can't hear. So you can get the flags going. So,
these people talking, this.
Okay. Yeah, that's someone correct. Al Kopanim, so you see clearly that you can answer amen even if you don't hear the bracha. So Rashi says, if you know which bracha it is, then you can answer amen. If you don't know which bracha it is, and you don't hear anything, then you can't answer amen. So over here we're talking about a person that he not only doesn't hear, but he doesn't even know which bracha it is.
So you go to Shul and you hear everybody saying amen, you can't just say amen.
So there's a machlokes about this. This is Rashi's pshat. Others disagree. Others say that it depends if it's a bracha that you have a chiyuv to say. If it's a bracha that you're mechuyev to say, so then you yourself have to hear the bracha in order to say amen. If you yourself didn't hear the bracha because you're mechuyev, like for example, whatever case it is where you yourself are mechuyev in the bracha, then you can't answer amen. But if it's a bracha that you're not mechuyev to hear, so then you could answer amen. But the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch that you should be machmer in both of these pirushim, and you shouldn't answer amen unless you hear the bracha yourself. Okay, look, it's in Kuf Chav Daled in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. The next halacha, v'loi yizroik bracha mipiv, and a person should not say a bracha quickly, like he's trying to throw off a heavy load from him, like a person it's too heavy for him. Okay, so that's when you get to the person that's saying the bracha. Now, what's the importance of saying amen? So Ben Azai says, amen. First, first Ben Azai explains what happens chas v'shalom if a person says amen yisaime. Amen yisaime, a person that answers amen, and it's an amen yisaime. He didn't answer the amen to the bracha. He didn't hear the bracha. He bar of yisaime. So then his children will be yisaime. That's the einish. A very harsh thing. Chatufa, if a person grabs the amein and he does not answer amein properly, yischatfu yamav, his days will be grabbed will be snatched from him. Ktufa, if he answers amein without pronouncing the nun properly, he cuts off the amein, yiskatfu yamav, his days will be cut as well. So it's very important to answer amein properly. Now the Gemara says the positive. A person that answers amein properly and with an arichas, he emphasizes the amein, ma'arichin lo yamav v'shneisav. The Eibishter gives him long life. But this goes back to what we said before, and Taisus points it out over here, but a person should not drag out the amein though. Still, you shouldn't drag out the amein. You have to be ma'arichit and pronounce every part of the amein properly, but not to be ma'arichit too much. You can hear recordings, by the way, of the way the Rebbe answered amein, and it's ma'aridik. It's unbelievable to hear exactly how the Rebbe says the amein. I'm not going to copy it right now, but if you listen to the recordings, you see exactly how the Rebbe says it. The Rebbe's madgish the awe and the main, and with a certain geschmack and niggin. It's very geschmack to hear. Okay, before we go weiter in the Gemara here, going back to the story of eating Sudas, this was just a side point when I get to amein. The inyan of amein that's brought in my modern Chassidus, why amein is so powerful, is because amein is the gematria of Havaya and Adnai together. And therefore, Havaya is the shame that's Lamaila Meseder Ishtal Shulos. Adnai is the Eibishter that's a master on the universe, Adena Ilam, which is within Seder Ishtal Shulos. Saying Amein is confirming the bracha and bringing together, joining together Havaya and Adnai. The whole point of a bracha is Barach Malashon Hamshachah, to draw down. When you answer Amein, you create that connection. And Amein is also the Rosh Tevis of Keil Melech Neman. And when it says over here in the Gemara that you should be Meidich and Amein, how long should you be Meidich? As long as it takes to say the three words of Keil Melech Neman. So Amein, there's a famous Gemara on the end of Nazir also that says that the Amein is like the final, it's like when the army goes out into battle and you have everybody that's fighting, the final blow, the final punch, that's what wins the war, and that's what the Amein is. The final Amshacha to bring it down here below. So the whole shivas of everything is in the Amein. So that's why you have to be so nizar with the Amein. Rav Shmuel have a Yasvi Besudasa. So going back to the story and the halachas of benching. So Rav and Shmuel was sitting at a Suda. Also Rav Shimi Bar Chia have a Kamasada V'achol. Rav Shimi Bar Chia came and he was trying to eat quickly to join them. So now there should be three that they should be able to bench with Zimun. Hamalei Rav. So Rav said to him, Ma daitech, what are you thinking? Why are you eating so quickly? Litztarufi ba'adon. You want to combine with us for the benching of the zimun. Anana chilnalan. We already finished eating. You just came now and you're just eating now. You didn't eat together with us, so you can't combine together with us for the zimun. Amalei Shmuel. So Shmuel said to Rav, Ilu maisili ardilia. If they would bring out for me ardilia, which Rashi says is either mushrooms or truffles, or the guzli Abba, or they would bring guzli Abba. Rav's name was also Abba. They would bring for you some pigeon meat, okay, which Rav really liked. Okay. Miloy achlinon, would I or you, would we not eat this food? So we didn't really finish our Suda. We finished eating, but if a delicacy would be brought out, wouldn't we continue eating? So therefore the Suda is not really done. So this is a halacha. If two people are eating at a Suda, and they technically finished eating, and someone else joins them and comes to eat a kazayas along with them, you can join them for the zimun. But that's as long as the people that are there did not say shir amalis yet. They did not say, let's bench. So then it's, as we learned already before, even before they said Rabbi Saimikal bench, but once they said shir amalis or let's bench, so then the Suda is over. You're not allowed to continue eating. But if they finished eating and they're sitting around and someone comes to join them and eats with them, he can join the Suda and join the zimun.
What's the thing with Mizainis? Is because he's joining the Suda like that?
What do you mean by mezainis?
You have to get something that's Mizainis in order to join his...
Kazayas, you have to have a kazayas, yeah.
Any food?
Not sure about that. Okay, check it up. Not sure. Talmidei the Rav have a Yasvi besudase. The students of Rav were sitting by a Suda. Oh, Rav Acha. Rav Acha entered into the Suda. Rav Acha arrived. Rav Acha was a very prominent figure. Amri, so they said, Osa Gavra Rabba. A great man has arrived. The Mevarach line, and he's going to bench for us. Amalahu, so Rav Acha said to them, Misavrisu, the Gadol Mevarach, do you think that the most prominent person present benches Ikesha Besuda Mevarach? The person that was there by the Ikar Suda, the one that's the main person by the Suda, he's the one that should bench. So whether the Balabayas or the one that sat around the table from the beginning and was at the head of the table. I came in late, so I shouldn't be benching. But the Gemara says, V'hilchase, the halacha is Gadol Mevarach, that you give the kavod to the Gadol to bench, not the one that was necessarily there before. Even someone that came later, comes at the end of the meal, he benches Afagav Dasala B'Sayf. Now we go back to the Mishnah. The first Mishnah in the Pedic, when it spoke about Zimun, it gave a whole list of things, of scenarios of where a person eats food, and you should be mekayim the mitzvah of Zimun, and then it says a whole list of things where you do not do Zimun. So the Gemara is going to analyze all of them. Achal demai v'chulu. It said in the Mishnah, a person that ate demai, so then Zimun applies. The Gemara, Demai is not something that's permitted to eat. It's something that comes from a ma'oret. There's a suffix of meiser was taken, and you have to take meiser. So why should he bench with zimun on this? And for the Gemara, Kivin, the iboy mafkalu lenichsei. The halacha regarding Demai is that a poor man is allowed to eat Demai. The whole thing of Demai is a chumra midrabanan, and this chumra midrabanan does not apply in all cases. By a person that's an ani, and in another case which the Gemara is about to mention, the takana of Demai does not apply. So therefore they will makel regarding Demai. This individual himself, if he wants to be mafkir, to let go of all of his possessions, v'hava ani, and he'll be poor, v'chazile, and then he could eat the Demai. Okay. The Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, machilan as ha'aniyim Demai. Even a poor man is allowed to eat Dmai. Achsanya Dmai. Achsanya refers to an army, soldiers that are there and need food, and they're desperate for food. They're allowed to eat even from Dmai. Okay, so therefore, in this case, even though he wasn't mafkir as nechasim, but because potentially he could, so chachamim amekel. The whole thing of Dmai is a chumrim midrabanan, and therefore, when he ate it, it's not a very stringent isser, so he's allowed to bench with zimun on this. Ravuna said, Tana, we learned in a braise, Beishami argued with this, and he said, Ein machilin esaniyim, ve'ein vesachsani demai. You do not give poor people to eat from demai, and you do not give soldiers from an army to eat demai. Beishami was machmer, so we don't paskin like Beishami. The Gemara is clarifying, as Taisus here says, that this is only Beishami's opinion, but no one else agrees to this. Ma'aser Rishon, the next thing it said in the Mishnah, Ma'aser Rishon shenot la trumasai. The Ma'aser Rishon, what's Ma'aser Rishon? That's the meiser that the Levi receives. And after the Levi receives his meiser, he has to separate from that meiser truma 10% that he gives to the kohen. So he has meiser rishon, and he separated the truma, and he can bench on that with zimun. Frek the Gemara pshita, obviously, the food that he's eating is perfectly fit to eat. And for the Gemara, leitzricha elo sheikdimai b'shibolim. What happened over here? He went and he took his meiser when the truma, when the tvua was still in its unprocessed stage, before the kohen went and got his truma, before it was even obligated to give the kohen truma. He went and grabbed his meiser first. And v'hifresh mimenu trumas meiser, and now this meiser that he grabbed before the kohen, so he did separate the trumas meiser, which is the percent he has to give to the kohen from his meiser, but v'lohifresh mimenu truma gedayla. The original truma that a kohen is supposed to be taking before the Levi, that was never separated. So l'chayre, there would be an issue with eating the food that he's eating. Uked Rabavo, Domer Rabavo, Omer Eish Lakish, meiser rishon shekdima b'shibolim. In a case where the Levi grabbed his meiser from the unprocessed wheat before the kohen got his truma, patim truma gedayla. Once you took it before that, before it was obligated in truma, at this point it's already pat of getting truma gedayla. Shanama, the pasuk says, "V'hari meiser mimenu trumas Hashem meiser mina meiser," that you have to take a meiser mina meiser, a tenth from the tenth. This refers to the Levi. Once he gets his meiser, he has to give another tenth to the kohen. So we learn from this pasuk, meiser mina meiser amarti lecha. The Levi has to separate a tenth, which is the trumas meiser, to give to the kohen. But v'loi truma gedayla. Once he took his meiser, the original truma gedayla that the kohen did not receive because he went first, that you don't have to separate.
What's the logic behind that?
We'll see. 1 second. V'loi truma gedayla. Okay. V'trumas meiser mina meiser. Now, when it comes to the truma of meiser mina meiser, Amalei Rav Papa la Abaye, so Rav Papa says to Abaye, Ihachi, if so, if you're telling me that you have over here in the pasuk tells me that once the Levi received his meiser, so then he only takes meiser mina meiser, and not any truma gedayla that the kohen missed. So afilik dimay b'kri nami. So if that's a gzeiras hakosef, that the pasuk says once the Levi got it, he doesn't have to give to the kohen his part. So even if the Levi went before the kohen, not before the wheat was processed, when it was still in the shibola, when it was before processed, even after it was processed and it's sitting in a pile, and now the kohen should have been allowed to go and take his truma first because it's chayiv in truma already. Even then, the Levi shouldn't have to give the truma gedayla to the kohen either. Amalei. So he answered him. No, there's another pasuk. Alecha omakro, regarding what you just asked, the pasuk says, Mikol masriseichem tarimu. It's talking to the Leviim, and it says to the Leviim, all of the meiser that you received, tarimu, you should give the truma gedayla to the kohen that he missed, that he should have gotten before. So we see here we have two different psukim. In one pasuk it says that if you take before the kayin, you just have to give the kayin the trumas meiser and not the truma gedayla that the kayin missed. And in this pasuk it says you do have to give the truma gedayla to the kayin that what he missed. So now the Gemara asks, Umare Isa, what's the svara? Why? What's the difference? What did we say before? That if you took it before it was processed, so then you don't give it to the kayin. If you took it after it was processed, once it was in a pile, then you do have to give it to the kayin. What's the reason to distinguish? So the Gemara says very simple. Hai idgen, v'hai oiloi idgen. Here, once it's already in a pile, this is considered grain. This the truma gedayla you were chayiv already in this. So therefore, when you took from it without the kayin taken before, you took something away from the kayin. The kayin was supposed to take this. It's already grain that was chayiv in truma gedayla. So you have to fill that in. You have to give it to the kayin. And v'hai lo yidgin, when you took it before it was processed, you took it at a stage where the chiyuv of truma gedayla didn't begin yet. So therefore, once you took it, it's yours, and you don't have to separate the truma gedayla. But the chiddush over here in our Mishnah is regarding this case, where you took it before it was processed, and still you could bench in it, and you could bench zimun also.
Sounds like our tax laws. It's a way to save.
Sagt die Gemara, Maise Sheni v'hektish sheniftu. The next case in the Mishnah was a person that's eating Maise Sheni or hektish, and he redeemed them properly. So you can bench with the zimun. Frek the Gemara pshita, obviously. And for the Gemara, Hacha b'mayas kina, the case over here is he did miss something. He redeemed them for the keren, the principal, but not the additional fifth. When a person redeems Ma'aseh Sheni that he owns, or hektish that he owns, so then you have to add a fifth, and he didn't add that. And the Mishnah is telling me the ein chaimish makiv. If you don't give that fifth, it does not prevent the pidyon, the redemption of taking effect. And therefore it is redeemed, he still owes the fifth, but the redemption took place, it took effect, and you can bench with it with zimun as well. Hashamish achal kazayis, it said in the Mishnah, the servant that ate a kazayas could join the people for zimun. For the Gemara pshita, of course he can join. Why not? And for the Gemara, mao de teime shamish lekova. The shamish is a waiter. He's not establishing himself to eat along with them. So maybe even if he had a kazayas, he cannot join them for the zimun. Kamash malan, that this is the way he eats, and therefore he can join them if he's eating a kazayas while he's serving. They can join together the zimun. It said in the Mishnah, kuti, which are people that they're converted, that are gadim, and as I mentioned in the Mishnah, this Mishnah holds that these kutim are gadim, although later on the Gemara paskins that they're not. But this Mishnah holds they're gadim, mezam and olav. They can join the zimun. Fragt the Gemara, why could they join? Lo yehei ala ama oretz. A kuti should not be any better than a ama oretz, because they were gadim, but they didn't really join and follow things together with Klal Yisrael the way everyone was. So therefore they shouldn't be any better than an ama oretz. The Tanya, and we learned in Abraisa, ein mezamnin ala ama oretz. You don't join together with an ama oretz in the zimun. So just like you don't join with an ama oretz in the zimun, you shouldn't join together with a kuti. And for the Gemara, Abaye says, Bekuti chaver. There is a kuti that could be that he's a chaver, he's a Talmud Chacham, and with him you could join in the zimun. Rava says, Afil teime bekuti amoretz. We could be speaking about a kuti that there is an amoretz. V'hacha ba'amoretz the rabbanon the pligi aleh the Rab Meir. Here, the amoretz that we're talking about is an amoretz the way the rabbanon that argued on Rab Meir defined an amoretz. The rabbanon that argued on Rab Meir had a specific definition to amoretz, as we'll see, and that's what we're talking about over here. What's the case? The Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, the question was asked, who is an amoretz? And this is relevant for a lot of halachas, especially for the halachas of maestris, to know who's an amoretz, that from his produce you have to give meiser again, and other halachas, if you can trust him or not. So the Tanakama says, Rab Meir says, Kol she'ena oichul chulav betara. A person that does not eat his chulin, food that's not truma meiser, he doesn't eat it in purity, even though you're not obligated to. But a Talmud Chacham always eats everything betara, and a Ma'aretz does not eat his chulin betara. He eats it even while it's tamei, so he's not in the category of a chaver. He's an Ma'aretz. The Chachamim argue and say, Kol she'einem ma'aseh peiros of karoi. Someone that does not give ma'aseh properly, he is an Ma'aretz. That's the definition of an Ma'aretz. So now the Gemara comes back to what we said before, that a kuti could join in the zimun. V'hani kutoi asuri maisri kiduchazi. They do give maisa properly. This is a mitzvah that they're careful in. Even if there's other mitzvahs that they're not careful in, but this is a mitzvah that they are careful in. Why? The b'mai d'chsiv ba'iraisa mizar zehiri. Those things that it says clearly in the Torah, they're careful with. The Amamar, because the master said, Kol mitzvah she'echziku ba'kutim harbe medaktikim ba'yosem Yisrael. The mitzvah of kutim that they fulfill, those mitzvahs that are written in the Torah and that they are careful with, they're medaktik, they're careful with these mitzvahs even more than Yidden. So Maisris is something that the kutim give, and therefore they're not considered to be amaratzim according to the Rabbanon, and they can join in the Zimun. Now, since we brought up the question of who is an Amaretz, which is mentioned, the expression of Amaretz is mentioned in Mishnayos many times, the Gemara now will address this question and bring other opinions regarding who do we define as an Amaretz. Tana Rabbana we learned in a different brayso. Exau Amaretz, who is a person that's in the category of an Amaretz? So the first opinion says, Kol she'ein ekore Kriya Shema arvis v'shachris. He does not fulfill the mitzvah of saying Kriya Shema morning and night. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yeshua says, Kol she'ein meniach tefillin, a person that does not put on tefillin. Ben Azai Kol she'ein le tzitzis bebigdai. He wears a four-cornered garment and he doesn't put tzitzis in his baguette. Rab Nassan Kol she'ein mezuzah al pischai, a person that does not have a mezuzah on his doorposts. Rab Nassan Bar Yosef Kol sheyesh le banim ve'eina megadlom l'Torah. He has children and he does not raise them to learn Torah. The final opinion of Achedim is even a person that learns Chumash, he learns Mishnayos, but he's not Mishamash Talmidei Chachamim. Rashi explains what Mishamash Talmidei Chachamim means. He does not join the discussions of the Talmidei Chachamim to understand the Pshat in the Mishnah, which is essentially the Gemara. He learns Mishnayos without the Gemara, so that's an Amaretz, because you can't understand the Psukim and even the Mishnayos without hearing the discussions of the Gemara. We paskin like the final opinion of Achedim that an Amaretz is someone that learns Chumash, Mishnayos, but he doesn't learn Gemara. Rami Bar Chama, so the Gemara shares in a story. Rami Bar Chama le Azban alei that Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa. He did not want to join in the Zimun, he would bring together Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa to join in the Zimun. Now who was this Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa? The Tani, Sifra, V'Sifri, V'Hilchase. He learned all the Sifra and all the Sifri and all the halachas, so he knew the Psukim and he knew all the halachas of the Mishnayos and of these Medrashim. But still he didn't want him to join in the Zimun together with him. Kinach nafshe de Rami Bar Chama, when Rami Bar Chama passed away, Omar Rava, so the Rava said, Leinach nafshe de Rami Bar Chama, you know why he passed away? The only reason is Ela de le'azmin Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa, because he didn't want to allow Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa, he didn't want to join together with him in the Zimun. That was a punishment and therefore he passed away. So the Gemara asks on this story, V'hatanya, but didn't we learn in the Brayso before? Even if you learn all the psukim and you know all the halachas of the Mishnayos and of the Sifri and the Sifra, but if you don't learn the discussions in the Gemara, you're called an Amaretz. So Rami Bar Chama was justified in not wanting to join, allowed Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa to join in the Zimun. So the Gemara answers, no, he made a mistake. Shani Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa the mashma lahul rabbanon. He did serve the Talmidei Chachamim. He did join in the discussions. Rami Bar Chama hu the loydaka basrei. Rami Bar Chama did not follow him, did not judge him properly. And really, he did join in learning the discussions of the Gemara. Another opinion explains this. He heard the conclusions of all of the sugyas of the discussions in the Gemara that the Chachamim had, the goddess Lahu, and he reviewed it. He's already like a Talmid Chacham. So what the Gemara is adding in the second opinion is, you don't have to, in order not to be an Amaretz, you don't have to necessarily know all the discussions of the Gemara. Even if you only know the conclusions of all the discussions, that's good enough. So you're not an Amaretz anymore. Now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah. What does it say in the Mishnah? Ochal, Tevel, Umaisa, V'chulu. The second part of the Mishnah, where it says those cases where you do not do zimun on them. When you ate food that's not fit for eating, it's not kosher, whatever, it's not fit for eating. So it said if you ate Tevel, or meiser, and so on. So you don't, in meiser that wasn't taken properly, so then you can't do zimun. Fragt the Gemara pshita, obviously, tevel pshita, and for the Gemara, letzriche betevel tovel midrabanan. It's a case where it's only tevel midrabanan. Min ha'teira, there's no chiyuv of meiser. What case is that? Heichidami, ba'atzis shein and nokov. If you have food that's growing in a flower pot that has no hole in the bottom, that it doesn't get any nourishment from the ground, min ha'teira, it's potter from meiser. Meiser is only what grows in Eretz Yisrael, and this flower pot is not connected to the ground. So you put them in a Torah from Meiser, midrabanan you chayiv a Meiser, because people will come to not know the difference. So this is a Meiser midrabanan, and they will makel, and they allow you to make zimun on this food. Meiser rishon chulu. Then it said Meiser rishon, the truma wasn't taken from it. So for that you're not allowed to do zimun. In fact, the Gemara pshita. Of course, the Levi gets the Meiser. He has to give the Kohen the Terumas Meiser. He didn't give the Kohen the Terumas Meiser. Of course, he shouldn't be able to do Zimun. And for the Gemara, no, this goes back to the case that we learned about before. Leitzriche, he gave the Terumas Meiser that he's supposed to give. The story over here is, going back to what we learned before, the Teruma Gedola wasn't taken. He took the Meiser ahead of the Kohen, and the Teruma Gedola wasn't given. He went and took his meiser before the kohen once the grain was in a pile. I would have thought, like Rav Papa said earlier on to Abaye, that even in such a case you're not obligated to take the Teruma Gedola anymore once you went ahead of the kohen. Kamash Malon, Kiddushan Ilay. The Chiddush of our Mishnah is, no, since it was already in a pile and it was already processed grain, in such a case you still have to give the Kayin his Teruma Gedola that was missed because you went ahead of him. That's the Chiddush of our Mishnah. Meiser Sheni v'chul. The next case of our Mishnah was a person that's eating Meiser Sheni that was not redeemed. For the Gemara pshita, obviously, if it wasn't redeemed, you're not allowed to eat it. And for the Gemara, leitzriche shenivtu, it was redeemed, but v'lei nivtu kehel chosan. It wasn't redeemed properly. What does that mean? It wasn't redeemed properly. So the Gemara explains, Meiser Sheni kagon shepode al gabe yasimain. You redeem the Meiser Sheni with a coin, a minted coin that does not have the shape. It's just a plain coin without any shape of a tsura that the coins always have, with a picture on it, whatever shape the coin has. It's just a plain piece of silver. V'rachmana a blank coin. V'rachmana Omar, and the Torah says, V'tzarta kesef biyadecha, and you should bind the kesef in your hands, but Chachamim darshan from this, kesef sheyesh of tzura. You only redeem the Meiser Sheni with the good money, which already has a tzura on it, which has the picture on it. So he didn't redeem it properly. So that's the chiddush of our Mishnah, that you can't do zimun on it. Hektish, what's the case of hektish that you redeemed and it's not proper? Shechilu lo al gabe karka. You redeem the hektish with a piece of land, giving the hektish in exchange a piece of land, and that doesn't work. V'lei pade bekesef, and you didn't redeem it with money. V'rachmana Omar v'nosan ha kesef ekam loi. When you redeem hektish, you have to redeem it with money and not with a karka. The next case in the Mishnah was Vashamish Sha'ochal Pachas Mikazayis. The Shamish that ate less than a Kazayis cannot join the Zimun. For the Gemara Pshita, obviously, he didn't eat enough. We said already in the Reisha, only if he ate a Kazayis. And for the Gemara, this case of the Mishnah, Taka has no Chiddush. Aidi di Tana Reisha Kazayis, Tani Sefer Pachas Mikazayis. Once it's said in the Reisha, the case that he ate a Kazayis, it says over here, and if he did not eat a Kazayis, then he doesn't join the Zimun. But there's no Chiddush in this. V'hanochri emezamlin olav, a goy cannot join Zimun. Pshita, obviously, a goy, he's not mechuyev in the bracha b'chlal. How would he join the zimun? And for the Gemara, hacha b'mayaskinan beger shamal v'loy toval. This is a nochri that's in the process of converting, and he converted only with a bris, and he did not tayvel. He wasn't tayvel yet. Amar Rab Zayda, Amar Rab Yechanan, la'olam ein ger. He's not a ger ad sheyimal v'yitbel, until the point that he did a bris and he was tayvel as well. As long as he did not go into the mikveh, he's still a guy, and that is the chiddush of our Mishnah. The next case of our Mishnah was Noshim v'avodim miktanim eimezanun aleim. You cannot join women, avid kanani or ktanim before bar mitzvah for the zimun. Rabbi Yosi said, katan hamutel ba'arisa, a baby that's even lying in a crib and is there in the room, mizamnan olav. You can join him for the zimun, even a baby. Frek the Gemara v'hatnan, but we learned in our Mishnah, Noshim avodim ketanim ein mizamnan aleim. You can't join a Noshim avodim ketanim in the zimun. So how could you join a baby in a crib? And for the Gemara, who Damek Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Rabbi Yossi was following the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Damek Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Ava Pisha Amru, Katan Amutel Barisa, Eim Zamnan Olav, a baby in a crib cannot be joined for the Zimun, Aval Oisen Oisai Snif La Asara. But when there's a Zimun of 10 people, then he could be joined as a 10th. Because when you have 9 people in the room, we had this before in the Gemara, when you have 9 people in the room, it's not so noticeable if it's 9 or 10, so in such a case, you could join him as the 10th. V'amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Tisha ve'eved mitztarfen. The same is also, once you have 9 people, just like you can join the cotton, you could also join the Eved Kanani. Meisvei, the Gemara asks on this itself as well. Meisvei, but Rabbi Eliezer shenichnas lebeis hakneses. There was a story with Rabbi Eliezer that entered into a shul, v'lei matzah asara, and they couldn't find a minyan. They were missing one for a minyan. V'shichrer avdoi, he redeemed his slave, v'shlim al asara, and they completed the minyan. So what do you see from this? Shichrer in, loy shichrer loy. Only because he redeemed the slave could he include him in the minyan, but if not, you can't. So you can't use an eved or a cotton as a 10th. And for the Gemara, today, it's the case of the story of Rabbi Eliezer, they really needed 2 people. Shichrer Chad, so he redeemed one of his slaves to join for the minyan, and the Nafik B'chad, and then there was another slave that was the 10th of the minyan.
Quite expensive.
The Heichi Ovid Hachi. So the Gemara asks, wait a minute, are you allowed to free an Eved Kanani? If you free an Eved Kanani, you're being over an asay. You must serve, they must serve you, and they have to be your Evet forever. And for the Gemara, ledvar mitzvah shani, to serve him, to free him, that is, for the purpose of a mitzvah is different. Fact the Gemara, mitzvah baba aveirihi, but this is a mitzvah that began through an aveda. This is not the regular concept of mitzvah baba aveda, but the point is, how could you do one thing which is for the purpose of a mitzvah? Sof, it's you being over an asay. And for the Gemara, mitzvah de rabim shani. A mitzvah de rabim, to do a mitzvah that's for the public, to be able to have a minyan for 10 people, that you're allowed to do, you're allowed to free the slave in order to fulfill this mitzvah. This Gemara is one of the sources where it says over here in the Rosh, what are we talking about over here? When is a mitzvah de rabim that you need a minyan? Usually when you need a minyan, menatayra, there's no chiyuv for a minyan. There's no chiyuv to have a minyan for davening. We learned about this already before. There were certain Tanaim and Amiram that davened in their house without a minyan. So the Rosh over here says this is talking about Parsha Zocher. Parsha Zocher, there's a chiyuv min ha-Torah to have a minyan and to read from the Torah, and this is what the story of Rabbi Eliezer was talking about. This is the famous Rosh that's the mocker for the fact that Parsha Zocher is min ha-Torah. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, la'olam yashkem adam lebeis hakneses. A person should always come early to shul. Kedei sheyizke v'yimnem nasara rishayim. He should be from the first 10. Shafilim mei ba machrav. Even if 100 people come afterwards, kibul olav schar kulam. He receives the schar of all of them. Fragt the Gemara, schar kulam sal kedaitach. Do you really think that he gets all of their schar? Why should they not get schar? Elo answers the Gemara, amein noisen lo schar keneged kulam. He will get the schar keneged all the people that came in as much as they get, but they get their schar and he gets keneged kulam. Amar Ravuna said, Tisha va'orein mitztarfen. 9 people with the Aron Kodesh, the Sefer Torah inside, could be mitztaref to a minyan. Amalei Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman asked the question, va'orein gavrahu, is the Aron of human being that could be mitztaref to a minyan? El Amar Ravuna, Tisha nidin kasar. Since 9 people look like 10, you can't clearly see the difference between 9 and 10 if you just take a look. So therefore, mitzdarfen. So therefore they could be mitzaref, because 9 look like 10. Amrila, some say kimichnefi, that this is when the 10 people are gathered together, so then you can't notice that it's not 10. V'amrila kimivdiri, others say the opposite, when the 10 people or the 9 people in the room are spread out, then you can't see that it's not 10. Amar Rabami said, Shnayim v'Shabbos mitzdarfen. 2 people and Shabbos. If it's on Shabbos, 2 people and Shabbos is good for a zimun. Amar Rav Nachman v'Shabbos gavrahu, is Shabbos a human being? Ela Amar Rabami, Shnei Talmidei Chachamim hamachadeten zeh ba'aloche. 2 Talmidei Chachamim that are sharpen one each other on aloche mitzdarfen. They could be mitzaref. That's what it's talking about. The 2 Talmidei Chachamim. Machvi Rav Chiste kagoin anov Rav Sheshes. Rav Chiste said it's me and Rav Sheshes. Machvi Rav Sheshes kagoin anov Rav Chiste. And Rav Sheshes responded and said it's like Rav Chiste and myself. That's let me just finish off with a story regarding the Gemara here, where there was a havamina that you could combine Aron Kodesh for the minyan. So there's a famous story of the Baal HaFlah. Rav Pinchas, the Baal HaFlah, when he originally came to the Magid, he was a big goin, and there's his famous svarim that he has in Nigla. and he came to the Maggid, and he wasn't sure if he should stay, if he should remain as a Talmud to the Maggid, or he should leave. The Maggid told him, I want you to go out and go into the Bismedrish, and you'll see the Yid that's sitting by the oven in the corner of the Bismedrish, and he's learning, and go discuss with him Torah and what he's learning. So he sees the Pashta Yidl sitting over there, which was what Abzusha Anapala, and he was learning the Gemara Brachos. He was learning this daf right over here in the Gemara and Brachos. And the Baal HaFlo approaches him and wants to discuss. He sees he's learning Brachos. He thought he would catch him up in a Shvera Sugya somewhere, and I'll have a deep discussion with him. He's learning this Gemara, Agadata. So Rab Zusha Anepal asks him, "What's willst du?" He says that the Maggid says I should discuss with you something you're learning. Me learning? What I know about learning? So Rab Zusha tells him, "I'm learning a Gemara, Pashta Gemara. Maybe you could tell me Pshat in the Gemara." The Gemara here says that there's a Havamina that you could join a Aron Kodesh for a minyan. So Rab Zusha asks him, "What's the Havamina? Aron Kodesh, a shtick Holz? Yeah, it has Kedusha, but a shtick Holz to join for a minyan. Wie kommt da rein a shtick Holz to be a tent for a minyan?" No, Baal HaFlo is listening. He doesn't have what to answer. So Rab Zusha answers him, "Weißt du, was the teretz is? It can sein a shtick Holz, which inside of it is full mit Teire. The ganze Teire, ein Sefer Teire, noch Sefer Teire, which is full mit Teire. Aber es bleibt a shtick Holz. That can't be joined for a minyan. If it's a lebendige Mensch, if the Teire that he learns he's living with, then you can join it for a minyan." He heard that point from Rab Zusha. He went back to the Maggid and he stayed there and he became a chassid.
The halacha is that you can tzarif, let's say, a cotton that.
That's a different story. From tzarif the cotton that's holding the chumash, correct.
I could be wrong, but I believe the author of the Shulchan Aruch has the idea that minyan is a main daraisa because they will be daicha daraisa.
Could be.
I mean, this is a daicha to say the Rosh
I'd love to see.
I believe I don't remember where that.
Otherwise, it's not mashma at all.
Say it, good.
It's a daicha to
If I would say it, then I don't have the liberty to say such things. But the Rosh sagt this.
Where is he seeing the
Mitzvah der Rabbi. He says, what's the mitzvah?
I believe it's.
What's the mitzvah b'chal? The word mitzvah means that it's a mitzvah.
Well, it's very typical of the Gemara to say, hey, this thing doesn't make sense.
The verse that you mentioned,
Yeah.
ancestors discussion in the Behar.
That's what?
Ancestors discussion in the Behar.